The IPO window, it's open, it's closed. We're always hearing about that. But did you know the window is always open for IPOs, of course, barring any unforeseen events. Joining me is the CEO of Keating Capital, Tim Keating. So let's talk about that, because you did a lot of work on this and you've determined that when you looked at week after week of IPOs, that more get done than not.
Yes, there is a myth on Wall Street that says the IPO window is only open intermittently. So we went and looked at almost 13 years of data, and we found exactly the opposite, which is the IPO window is open almost all of the time, except for periods when there are some capital market shocks.
Now, there's three things that you found that really drive the IPO market, and what are those?
Number one is volatility, or the VIX index. So there is a very strong inverse relationship between the level of volatility and the number of IPOs. Second is the performance of the broad market averages. And third is actually how are IPOs performing? Are they making money for investors?
Right, so we have a good equity market, you start to see a lot of IPOs. And conversely, if you have a bad IPO like Facebook, all of a sudden the IPOs dry up.
It freezes up. And so those kind of events, Facebook was a fiasco as in terms of IPO issuance, so it completely froze out the market for 5 weeks. And there are those technical events that do happen from time to time. And to be sure, the IPO market is most definitely closed during those brief periods of time.
But it's been a great year for IPOs when we look at the performance. Very good performance there.
Hard to imagine a better market right now. So just a few numbers. We just crossed 130 IPOs for 2013. Why is that significant? 130 has been the 10-year average, so we just pierced the 10-year average. Last year, as an example, we had 128 IPOs. And not just numbers, but performance. If you look at the offer price to year to date, we're averaging up about 30% across all of those IPOs. So that's about double the broad market average. Pretty good,
and the one we just mentioned, Facebook, starting to get back to its IPO price.
Hope springs eternal.
So when we look forward to the future and we look into the fall, you know, we know that visibility has been reduced. So how can we get an idea of what's coming up?
It's very, very difficult to do that. And just so everyone understands, a year ago, we passed something called the Jobs Act, which allowed private companies to file confidentially. So we used to have a long visibility into the IPO pipeline. We don't have that anymore. But based on industry sources, we have pretty good estimates. So our own guess is that we'll get close to 200 IPOs this year. And to put that in context, we'd have to go back to about 2007, where we had 217 IPOs to reach that level.
All right, well, it sounds like it could be a good fall for IPOs if it's anything like we've had the early part of this year. That's Tim Keating. He is the CEO of Keating Capital, and I'm Deborah Borchardt with The Street.